Boom. The great Xun'er demon pillar, carrying an overwhelming aura of death, swung down, its vast shadow bringing with it a torrent of spiritual energy, descending from the heavens to envelop a gigantic crimson magma dragon. Chen's strike was a full-force attack, channeling his spiritual energy to the utmost. From within the 9 dragons' burning heaven array, he could sense the dangerous, chilling fluctuations. The power contained within this formation was beyond his imagination, so any attempt to hold back would only bring humiliation upon himself. The enormous shadow descended, yet the massive magma dragon showed no sign of retreat. Its crimson eyes gleamed with a gaze of superiority, and it immediately opened its vicious dragon mouth. A burst of red light erupted, transforming in midair into a dragon-scale shield about 100 feet in size. The dragon-scale shield shimmered with blinding brilliance. While it was not particularly thick, it radiated an aura of indestructibility, quietly hovering as the massive demon pillar came crashing down. Clang! The two forces collided fiercely, and a sharp sound like metal striking metal rang out, followed by an overwhelming spiritual energy storm that spread wildly. Chen's expression changed subtly at the moment of impact. He could feel the incredible force rebounding from the dragon-scale shield, a force so immense that it nearly sent the great Xun'er demon pillar flying. If this was the challenge posed by a single magma dragon, what would happen if the 9 dragons attacked in unison? His situation could become extremely perilous. Roar! As Chen's thoughts shifted, a series of dragon roars echoed through the air. He looked up sharply, his eyes narrowing as he saw the 9 dragons' red eyes glaring down from the magma sea. Their massive bodies had their dragon scales standing on end, exuding an aggressive energy. Boom! The 9 dragons' massive forms trembled, and red light erupted from them. Their scales, once scattered, now shot out in a barrage, like a torrential downpour, hurtling toward Chen. Each scale gleamed with a sharp glow, and as they sliced through the air, they left faint trails behind them. With such overwhelming numbers, Chen couldn't help but tremble slightly. Taking a deep breath, his black eyes glowed with golden light. A towering figure made of gold appeared around him, and golden radiance overflowed, resembling a golden Dharmakaya. In this form, no force seemed capable of shaking him. Bang! 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 The storm of dragon scales continued to rain down on the golden figure. Yet, when they came within a few feet of the towering golden light, they were all shattered by the radiance. The shockwaves struck against the great sun indestructible body, but with the great Luo golden body reinforcing it, they barely posed a threat. His supreme Dharmakaya is quite unique. Many soldiers of the great Luo heaven army muttered in astonishment, sensing the unusual strength of the great sun indestructible body. The power of the 9 dragons burning heaven array has only just begun. The real show is yet to come, Bingqing said calmly, arms crossed. She knew Chen wasn't a fool. If he dared enter the formation, he must have something to rely on, so she wasn't surprised to see him easily block this wave of attacks. However, she also understood that the 9 dragons burning heaven array was far from just this. All eyes in the world turned toward the seething magma sea, where the golden giant stood motionless, exuding a quiet, yet formidable aura. Roar! A deep and piercing dragon roar, full of dragon might, resonated through the air. The 9 dragons coiled and arched their bodies, their crimson scales gleaming. The dragon scales that had previously shot out began growing back, and the red light in their eyes intensified. Then, in unison, they opened their massive jaws. Whoosh! Suddenly, the magma sea churned violently. 9 colossal columns of magma shot up into the sky. From the magma, red light surged along the pillars, eventually breaking through the surface and transforming into 9 ancient symbols, each glowing with molten lava and flames. These 9 lava runes, burning with a fiery red glow, made the temperature in the surrounding space rise dramatically, and even the space itself seemed to turn crimson. That is the 9 dragons' burning heaven talisman. Bingqing and the others' expressions immediately became more serious, their eyes sharpening as they recognized the deadly move from the 9-9 flame dragon array. It was clear they were no strangers to it. recalling how many times they had been forced to retreat when breaking through this formation. Boom! The 9 magma runes appeared, immediately illuminating the heavens. Flames rose and transformed into 9 streaks of crimson light, like flaming meteors streaking across the sky. These 9 lights spread out in a circle around Mu Chen, creating a vast, terrifying heat wave. As the crimson lights moved, the space around Mu Chen twisted visibly, and the temperature soared as if the very air itself would be scorched to nothing. Mu Chen's expression turned grave. He could feel an overwhelming heat approaching him, a temperature so intense that even the great sun indestructible body, protected by the great Luo golden body, began to dull under its pressure. I can't let these 9 runes continue, Mu Chen thought, furrowing his brows. The ancient magma runes, as they activated, emitted an ever-increasing heat. If this continued, even the great sun indestructible body might not withstand it. The 9-9 Flame Dragon array was truly not to be underestimated. Mu Chen clenched his teeth. Standing atop his great sun indestructible body, his hands slowly extended from his sleeves. With a swift twist of his palms, 2 distinct streams of spiritual energy surged forth, one swirling with purple flame, the other crackling with the ominous sound of netherworld heart demon lightning. 2 completely different types of spiritual energy. Bingqing and the others were astonished, as they immediately recognized the potent, mysterious energy flowing through Mu Chen's palms. Boom! The 9 magma runes trembled violently and transformed into 9 fiery meteors shooting across the sky, heading straight for Mu Chen. A fierce heat wave surged toward him, and the intense temperature caused the golden light surrounding his great sun indestructible body to shrink. Mu Chen's eyes narrowed. The power of these 9 magma runes was too great. If they hit him simultaneously, even his great sun indestructible body would take damage. He had to weaken their force. Mu Chen stamped his foot, launching himself into the air. His palms pushed forward with unstoppable force, unleashing 2 spiritual energy streaks that cut through the air like 2 blazing meteors. One was surrounded by purple flames, the other crackled with the ominous energy of the heart demon lightning. While Mu Chen had yet to perfectly merge these 2 energies, even their separated forms were enough to overpower the typical third-grade supreme experts. The 2 spiritual energy streaks collided head-on with the fiery meteors made of the magma runes. Boom! The sky seemed to tremble, and a massive wave of magma surged upward, covering everything in its path. The powerful experts watching the collision narrowed their eyes. As the magma poured down, the 2 fiery meteors exploded in a brilliant display of light. Can the strength of a third-grade supreme really shatter the burning heaven talisman? Some of the experts were stunned. The power of the 9 dragons' burning heaven talisman was immense. Even a single rune could easily overwhelm a third-grade supreme. Now, with all 9 unleashed, it was almost impossible to affect them. No one expected Mu Chen to break 2 of them so easily. He's fused an extremely powerful world force into his spiritual energy. Fire Meyer's charming eyes glinted as she immediately saw the source of Mu Chen's strength. But breaking just 2 burning heaven talismans is still far from enough. Within the formation, Mu Chen seemed to sense their thoughts. Looking up at the falling magma, he suddenly made a lightning-fast hand seal. Immediately, the surrounding space began to ripple with an unusual energy fluctuation. The 9 Nether, Fire Meyer, and various kings all felt the change and reacted. What's that? Bingqing and the others exclaimed in surprise. Above Mu Chen, the space began to twist violently, and 3 dark black lotuses appeared out of nowhere. Their sudden appearance was jarring, and their energy fluctuated in a way that was entirely different from ordinary spiritual techniques. It's a spiritual array, someone finally shouted. The intricate patterns and the unique energy fluctuations revealed that it was, in fact, a spiritual array. This guy is also a spiritual array master? Bingqing and the others stared in shock. The 3 black lotus spiritual arrays were, of course, the demonic lotus slaughtering spirit array. Given Mu Chen's current strength and his mastery over spiritual arrays, the demonic lotus slaughtering spirit array he set up now was far stronger than before. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The three black lotuses shot out violently, transforming into three streaks of ghostly light, colliding with the three burning heaven talismans. As spiritual energy raged, the burning heaven talismans shattered under the impact. However, burning heaven talismans still managed to break through the barrage of attacks. They appeared around Mu Chen in the blink of an eye, within 100 zhang radius, causing the space to twist violently, as if it were about to be consumed by flames. At this point, it was too late to intercept them. Countless people fixed their gazes on Mu Chen. What would he do now? Who? Under their watchful eyes, Mu Chen exhaled gently, then slowly brought his palms together. At the same time, the massive palms of his great sun indestructible body also closed in, a sharp gleam flashing across his handsome face. Since interception was no longer an option, it was time to clash head-on. My great sun indestructible body is not as weak as you think. Brilliant golden light erupted from the center of his forehead, like a blazing golden sun slowly rising. Eventually, it enveloped his entire great sun indestructible body, shining like gilded gold. The four burning heaven talismans slammed toward him like falling meteors, crashing violently into the massive body of the great sun indestructible body. Boom, boom. The space trembled, and massive cracks spread across the sky like a spider's web, red light sweeping across the heavens and earth. Countless people focused their eyes on the scene. 5 burning heaven talismans can seriously injure a 4th grade supreme, someone from the Great Luo Heaven Army muttered. Some even shook their heads, silently acknowledging that Mu Chen had performed admirably, but to stop 9 burning heaven talismans? That was easier said than done. Wait. Before their words even faded, someone's pupils shrank. All eyes turned toward the eruption of magma, where a giant golden silhouette stepped through the air, a golden sun floating behind its head. The gilded light shone radiantly, resembling an indestructible Buddha. This awe-inspiring figure made many powerful beings subconsciously inhale. The golden figure was completely unharmed. The dazzling golden light exploded in the sky, and the golden figure surged through the crimson heat waves, like a Buddha with a golden body, radiating with an overwhelming force that made the many powerful onlookers' expressions shift, their eyes growing serious. Because even 5 burning heaven talismans hadn't caused Mu Chen any harm. An attack of that magnitude could easily make a 4th grade supreme retreat. How is this possible? Ice Qing and the other commanders couldn't help but exclaim in astonishment. The result clearly didn't match their expectations. How could a mere 3rd grade supreme kid block 5 burning heaven talismans? Haha, I told you from the start, this kid is no pushover. Meyer giggled, but there was a flash of surprise in her bewitching eyes. She could sense that the supreme Dharmakaya Mu Chen had cultivated seemed to be stronger than expected. Under the astonished gazes of the crowd, Mu Chen's figure appeared once again above his great sun indestructible body. He then stomped his foot, causing the golden sun at the center of his great sun indestructible body to shine even more brilliantly. The gilded light seemed to overflow, cascading over the vast body. Boom. The great sun indestructible body shot forward with incredible speed, appearing above a magma giant dragon in the blink of an eye. The massive gilded palm then crashed down onto its dragon head like a thunderstrike, releasing a burst of terrifying golden light. Boom. The golden light erupted, and the magma giant dragon let out a painful roar as golden cracks spread across its head. Finally, with a resounding explosion, it shattered. Lava splattered into the air. Mu Chen, using the supreme divine ability of his great sun indestructible body, the single yang force, struck out with a thunderous speed, instantly slaying a magma giant dragon. This turn of events caused the powerful onlookers to narrow their eyes, amazed by Mu Chen's swift and ruthless actions. It was clear that he understood the need to prevent the 9 magma giant dragons from continuing their assault. Otherwise, even with his powerful supreme Dharmakaya, it would be difficult for him to hold out until the end. Whoosh! Without any hesitation, Mu Chen slashed through another magma giant dragon with the same lightning speed, immediately shifting toward another target. However, at this moment, the remaining magma dragons also regained their senses. They roared furiously, and their magma-infused crimson claws pierced through the void, striking fiercely at the massive golden body. 8 giant dragon claws tore through the air, the terrifying fluctuations of power directly locking down the space around Mu Chen. He had no way to dodge, yet his expression remained calm. His hand seals changed, and at his forehead, the golden sun symbol glowed even more brilliantly. Clearly, he had activated the power of the supreme divine ability, the single yang force, to its maximum potential. The great sun indestructible body stood proudly in the void. It clenched its massive hand, and the great Xun'er demon pillar appeared, both murderous aura and golden light surging together. Then, it swung, sending out streaks of light that collided head-on with the 8 dragon claws. Boom, boom. The terrifying energy fluctuations raged like a storm, and everyone stared with their mouths slightly agape at the sky. There, the golden light surged as Mu Chen used the great sun indestructible body to battle against the 8 magma dragons. His attacks were extremely fierce, with each strike forsaking defense. The price of this strategy was evident. Within just dozens of exchanges, the large body of the great sun indestructible body bore numerous dragon claw marks. However, whenever the golden light swept across these marks, they would disappear. The defense of the great sun indestructible body was beyond imagination, and with the added strength of the great Luo golden body, Mu Chen was unafraid of this kind of brutal hand-to-hand combat. In the sky, the massive supreme Dharmakaya clashed directly with the 8 magma dragons. The close-quarter battle, almost like a physical brawl, made countless powerful cultivators' eyelids twitch. Particularly Mu Chen's brutal fighting style, which made them unable to hold back their grimaces. This young man, though not old, was fiercer than anyone else. The violent battle in the sky continued, and within less than 10 minutes, 4 of the magma dragons had been exploded by the great Xun'er demon pillar. Of course, Mu Chen had paid a price as well, with deep claw marks left on the chest of the supreme Dharmakaya. The scorching magma power still lingered within these marks. Though the great sun indestructible body had impressive recovery abilities, it was difficult to heal them in such a short time. At this point, only 3 magma dragons remained in the sky. Impressive, many strong cultivators exclaimed. Xun'er, Bingqing, and the others simply shook their heads. If this continues, he won't have the chance to break through the formation, Mandala said calmly, her golden eyes observing the scene. Hearing this, Juyo's face changed slightly. She wasn't familiar with the 9-9 flaming dragon formation, so she didn't understand why Mandala made such a remark. Mandala didn't offer further explanation, for at that moment, within the magma formation, a change occurred once more. The magma surged, and massive waves of lava shot up into the air. Then, the roar of dragons echoed from within the magma. Suddenly, sharp dragon claws emerged, and the fierce dragon bodies appeared again. This time, 6 more magma dragons broke through the void. With this, the 9 dragons returned, and Mu Chen's earlier hard-fought battle had almost been for nothing. Seeing this, not only did Mu Chen's face change, but even the cultivators who were unfamiliar with the 9-9 flaming dragon formation shrank their pupils. Many strong cultivators were puzzled, but they had already experienced the terrifying power of the 9-9 flaming dragon formation. No wonder it was a key challenge in the selection of commanders for the great Luo Heaven Army. Just brute force against these magma dragons won't break the formation, Xun'er muttered softly. Within the magma, Mu Chen frowned as he watched this scene. His gaze flickered rapidly. It seemed the 9-9 flaming dragon formation wasn't as simple as he had thought. Though the 9 magma dragons were terrifying, simply destroying them wouldn't break the formation. From what he could tell, no matter how many times he destroyed them, they would regenerate. Such an approach was only wasting energy. How could this be? Mu Chen narrowed his eyes as he gazed at the crimson magma below. After a moment, his heart stirred as he suddenly recalled something Mandala had casually mentioned at the beginning. As long as the magma remains here, the magma dragons will be immortal. At first, Mu Chen had doubted this, but after his trial, Mandala's words were indeed true. But did it really mean he had to destroy all the magma here? Mu Chen's gaze was fixed on the crimson sea of magma. A flash of golden light suddenly passed through his eyes. In that brief moment, he distinctly felt an unusual fluctuation coming from deep within the magma formation. Whoosh! Mu Chen's eyes flickered rapidly. In the next instant, he pushed off with his toes, and his body shot downward like an arrow, directly charging toward the magma formation. Roar! The 9 magma giant dragons roared in anger, attempting to block him. However, with the surge of golden light from his great sun indestructible body, the great Xun'er demon pillar swept across, blocking them all. Splash! Mu Chen's figure plunged straight into the magma, drawing numerous shocked gazes. However, Mandala, Xun'er, and the others, their eyes flickered for a moment. Mu Chen rushed deeper into the magma, rapidly speeding towards the depths. The purple flame surrounding his body formed a protective barrier, resisting the terrifying heat. His senses quickly expanded, and after several breaths, his body suddenly stiffened, his gaze scanning downward. Deep within the magma, 9 crimson light orbs were suspended. Within each orb floated a drop of blood that resembled magma. Inside the blood, a flame dragon seemed to coil, emitting a terrifying aura as if it could burn the heavens and earth. Moreover, within these flame dragons seemed to be a scale burning with flames. From that scale, Mu Chen could feel an ominous and chilling aura. Ancient flame dragon's essence blood. Mu Chen stared at the 9 drops of crimson essence blood and finally understood. It was no wonder the magma giants kept appearing here. They were being continuously created from the essence blood. If these drops weren't scattered, there was no way to break the formation. However, even though he had identified the source, breaking the formation was not a simple task. Although this was just essence blood, the aura of the essence's original owner still lingered, and it was clear this was the blood of an incredibly powerful being, one whose existence was probably legendary. But even if it was difficult, Mu Chen had no choice but to act. Taking a deep breath, Mu Chen slowly closed his eyes. Outside the magma, Mandala waved her small hand, and the light in front of her shimmered, revealing the situation deep within the magma. Mu Chen and the 9 drops of ancient flame dragon's essence blood appeared within the display. Finally found it. Mandala's small face showed a faint smile. Then she spoke. But aside from the essence blood, there is the protection of the ancient flame dragon scales. Penetrating those scales won't be easy. The 9 nether also showed concern. The ancient flame dragon ranked high on the divine beast list, and this particular dragon must have been incredibly powerful in its lifetime. Otherwise, the 9 drops of essence blood and the scales wouldn't possess such formidable power. Don't worry. As long as he can obtain 1 drop of the ancient flame dragon's essence blood, that will count as passing the trial. And the essence blood will be his reward. Mandala smiled and added, breaking through the 9 layers of ancient flame dragon scales, even you all wouldn't find it easy. When Xun'er became the first commander, she only managed to obtain 4 drops of the essence blood. Before Mandala finished speaking, she suddenly gasped in surprise. Her golden eyes widened as she looked at the spiritual energy screen in front of her. She saw Mu Chen, who had been keeping his eyes shut, suddenly open them, and his eyes turned completely pitch black, with no whites showing. They looked like deep black holes, incredibly eerie. At the same time, the spiritual energy fluctuations emanating from Mu Chen's body also became bizarre. 9 nether's eyes narrowed as she muttered to herself. Is this the heart demon state from the Supreme Heart Devil Sutra? Mu Chen's figure stood silently in the depths of the magma. His eyes were as black as holes, giving the feeling that one could fall into them. His hair also rapidly grew, turning into long black strands that flowed loosely. This strange transformation immediately caught the attention of all the strong figures present. Even Mandala's eyes flashed with confusion. Clearly, she had never seen Mu Chen use such a mysterious technique before. The fluctuations of his spiritual energy remained unchanged. Behind Mandala, one of the 3 sovereigns, the Heavenly Vulture Emperor, furrowed his brow. Mu Chen's spiritual energy hadn't grown stronger. In fact, it appeared to be even weaker than before. Yet, for some reason, Mu Chen now seemed far more dangerous than before. This bizarre change left even the well-traveled Heavenly Vulture Emperor and the others feeling puzzled. The only one who understood what was happening was 9 nether. The Supreme Heart Devil Sutra had been obtained by both of them, But what surprised her was that Chen had already started to grasp the true cultivation method of the sutra within just a few months. Judging from his current appearance, he had clearly just begun to comprehend it. Such talent made Nine Nether unable to resist a quiet admiration in her heart. This guy indeed possessed infinite potential. The countless voices of amazement and confusion from the outside world did not affect Chen in the slightest. His eyes, as deep as black holes, stared silently at the 9 light orbs containing the ancient flame dragon's essence blood. His face remained calm, a calmness so profound that it seemed nothing, not even the collapse of the world, could shake him. This is the heart demon state. Chen gently pressed his palm to his chest, where inside his heart, invisible to ordinary eyes, a black orb the size of a mung bean slowly took form. That was the heart demon seed. After months of repeated assaults from the netherworld heart demon lightning on his heart, the power of the invading heart demon lightning had finally coalesced the heart demon seed. The heart demon seed would not suddenly cause Chen's strength to skyrocket, but it would grant him absolute mental clarity. This clarity would allow Chen to channel the power within his body to an almost perfect level. Moreover, in this state, no means could disturb his mind. Even when facing deadly situations, he could still calmly perceive the faint traces of life hidden within them. Currently, Chen had only just begun to form the heart demon seed, which, at most, could only be considered the first layer of the heart demon state, the lesser heart demon state. If one day he could reach the greater heart demon state, who knew what kind of power that would unleash? No wonder the palace master of the Thunder God Palace, with his great perfection heart demon state, could contend with beings at the heavenly supreme level. Chen extended his long fingers and slowly clenched them. The overwhelming sensation of complete control, being able to effortlessly command every bit of power, made him momentarily intoxicated. Boom! Outside the magma, violent fluctuations of spiritual energy suddenly erupted. The 9 dragons were charging fiercely, attempting to break through the great sun indestructible body's defense and force Chen out. Do you feel the danger too? A flicker of emotion passed across Chen's calm face as he stretched his fingers toward the 9 drops of ancient flame dragon essence blood. Roar! As Chen's fingers extended, the 9 drops of ancient flame dragon essence blood let out a savage growl, the essence blood churning. It was as if 9 small ancient flame dragons had appeared, their crimson scales glowing with fiery light. Boom! Boom! The magma around them began to stir, and faintly, it seemed to show signs of coalescing into a magma dragon. Watching this from the outside, the crowd was riveted, eager to see how Chen, with his 3rd grade supreme strength, would manage to seize the essence blood guarded by the power of dragon scales. Under their watchful eyes, Chen's fingers suddenly flicked. The space seemed to ripple, and invisible forces surged outward, followed by the sharp, shrieking sound of thunder rolling in. The magma cracked open into 9 fissures as fast as lightning, heading straight for the 9 drops of ancient flame dragon essence blood. Buzz! Buzz! The dragon scales guarding the essence blood began to hum, releasing a brilliant crimson light. A dragon pattern swirled within the light, forming the strongest protective barrier to guard the essence blood. Swish! However, the 9 streaks of invisible thunder still shot toward the scales. In an instant, they collided with the light barrier formed by the dragon scales under the crowd's astonished gazes. Boom! When the 2 forces collided, everyone was stunned. There was no fluctuation from the dragon scale barrier. Instead, the ancient flame dragon essence blood within trembled violently, as though a tragic roar echoed from it. Crimson light poured from the 9 drops of essence blood, seemingly to resist some kind of harm. But the crowd was confused. No attack had actually penetrated the dragon scale protection. Chen's eyes, as deep as a black hole, calmly watched the violently shaking essence blood. Then, with a flick of his long fingers, he struck again. The shrieking thunder sounded once more. Bang! The 9 drops of ancient flame dragon essence blood could no longer withstand the pressure and were knocked back, flying out of the protective dragon scale barrier. Swish! Chen's figure vanished from his original spot, and in the blink of an eye, he appeared behind the 9 drops of ancient flame dragon essence blood. His palm curved in, and a powerful suction force surged, drawing the 9 drops of essence blood directly into his hand. Roar! The ancient flame dragon essence blood continued to roar, as if struggling to escape. But Mu Chen's palm quickly released 2 streams of spiritual energy. One was burning with purple flames, and the other was swirling with invisible lightning. The 2 different types of spiritual energy reached perfect balance at this moment, complementing each other. They fused into a light barrier, binding the 9 drops of ancient flame dragon essence blood within. This control over spiritual energy was far superior to Mu Chen's normal state. Whiz! Whiz! The ancient flame dragon essence blood was taken, and the 9 dragon scales shot out blinding red light, speeding like lightning towards Mu Chen, tearing through the space and leaving faint traces in its wake. The attack of the 9 dragon scales was incredibly fast, too fast to even dodge. Boom! However, just as the dragon scales were about to strike Mu Chen, the magma suddenly split open. A gigantic golden hand reached deep into the magma, grabbing Mu Chen's body within. Bang! Bang! The dragon scales hit the golden hand, shattering it instantly. But as the golden hand broke apart, a figure shot out from within, and in just a few breaths, it had surged above the surface of the magma. At this point, the surface of the magma sea had become extremely chaotic. The 9 magma dragons, having lost the support of the flame dragon essence blood, lost their strength and turned into magma, cascading down. The 9 flame dragon array, having lost its core power, now appeared to be on the verge of collapse. Mu Chen stood suspended in midair, his black hair blowing in the wind. His deep black eyes silently gazed at Mandala and the others outside. His handsome face remained unmoved, without a hint of change. How is this possible? Many of the powerful beings were stunned, especially Firemire, Bing Qing, and the commanders of the great Luo Heaven Army. They couldn't help but blink their eyes, their faces filled with shock. Mu Chen actually took away 9 drops of ancient flame dragon essence blood? Back when Firemire ascended to first commander, she only managed to take 4 drops. Could it be that Mu Chen is now stronger than Firemire? This was clearly an impossible scenario. Mandala's eyes were also focused on Mu Chen at this moment, and she slowly spoke. Is it the Netherworld Heart Demon Lightning? No wonder it could bypass the protection of the dragon scales and directly attack the flame dragon essence contained within the blood. Netherworld Heart Demon Lightning? The many experts behind were momentarily stunned, then they suddenly realized. The Netherworld Heart Demon Lightning could penetrate physical defenses and directly strike from the deepest recesses of the human soul. The attack method was extremely bizarre, but they hadn't expected that Mu Chen would use it to deal with the ancient flame dragon essence blood. The ancient flame dragon essence blood still carried the will of the ancient flame dragon, and this one was most afraid of such lightning. So this time, Mu Chen was truly lucky. Mandala said softly. Only then did everyone secretly breathe a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it was a stroke of luck. Otherwise, they would have been utterly ashamed. They couldn't accomplish what Mu Chen, a mere 3rd grade supreme, had done. It was truly a slap to the face. So what about this? Nine Nether asked. A faint smile appeared on Mandala's exquisite and beautiful face as she replied. Naturally, we count it as his victory. In this world, there is no such thing as cheating. As long as one achieves victory, any means, even luck, is still a form of strength. He was able to find the solution in such a short time, and to control the Netherworld Heart Demon Lightning to such an extent. This is no mere coincidence. Boom. As Mandala finished speaking, the massive magma sea split open, turning into a waterfall of magma that cascaded down with a loud rumble, pouring into the great Luo flame pool. In the sky, Mu Chen's body shuddered slightly. His deep black eyes quickly returned to normal, and his black hair retracted. In just a few breaths, his condition returned to normal. With the departure of the heart demon state, Mu Chen's handsome face immediately became lively, and now, he exuded the vitality that he should have. From now on, you are the 6th commander of the great Luo Heaven Army. As Mu Chen's eyes regained their usual clarity and vitality, Mandala's youthful voice echoed at this moment. Below, the many soldiers of the great Luo Heaven Army exchanged glances. then respectfully bent down and cupped their fists. Their deep voices sounded in unison. Subordinate greets Sixth Commander. Subordinate greets Sixth Commander. In the sky, Chen looked at the great Luo Heaven Army, all of whom had bowed in respect. Though he had remained relatively calm before, now, a ripple stirred in his heart. After all, the army before him was the most powerful force within the great Luo Heaven domain. The Nine Netherguard had great potential, but if these two armies were to engage, the Nine Netherguard would be wiped out in mere minutes. After all, the great Luo Heaven army was composed entirely of experts who had reached the supreme stage. The great Luo Heaven army is so formidable that becoming their leader is not an easy task. Even though Chen managed to pass the 9 dragons burning heaven array, he understood that the great Luo Heaven army likely did not truly respect him yet. After all, his strength was still far inferior compared to the other commanders. However, Chen was not upset by this. Although there was a gap between him and the other 5 commanders, as long as he was given enough time, he believed that one day, everyone in the great Luo Heaven army would stop underestimating him. Slowly descending from midair, Chen landed near Mandala and the others. He raised his hand, revealing a jade bottle in his palm. Inside the bottle, 2 different types of spiritual energy swirled together, and within the energy, 9 drops of blood that resembled flowing magma could be seen. Each drop radiated intense, scorching waves of heat. It was the essence blood of the ancient flame dragon. Are all of these mine? Chen asked with a smile, looking at Mandala. Chen had long coveted the essence blood of the ancient flame dragon. Even on the divine beast list, which was filled with powerful beings, the ancient flame dragon held a high rank. Its strength was not weaker than that of the North Sea Dragon Koan. In the past, Chen had expended countless efforts to obtain a single drop of North Sea Dragon Koan's essence blood in the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. Now, to suddenly receive 9 drops, he was naturally overjoyed. Mandala nodded indifferently. While the essence blood of the ancient flame dragon was valuable, it meant little to her. Since you've passed the 9 dragons burning heaven array, the only spot we have for the dragon and phoenix sky belongs to you, Mandala said. She glanced at Chen and added, the dragon and phoenix sky is a major event for the younger generation of the northern domain. The participants are all monstrously talented, with powerful backgrounds to match. Their strength is nothing like the peers you've faced before. Chen nodded. He wouldn't underestimate the so-called geniuses cultivated by the top forces. Although he had not yet seen the others, just the presence of Lu Yin from Xiantian Palace was enough to make him feel threatened. Inside the Dragon and Phoenix Sky, there are prohibitions. None of us can enter, so you'll have to rely on yourself. Even if you're killed, you'll have no one but yourself to blame for lacking the strength, Mandala continued. Has anyone from the great Luo Heaven domain participated in the Dragon and Phoenix Sky before? Chen asked after a moment's thought. Yes, but they were killed by the people from the Netherworld Palace not long after entering, Mandala said, her face slightly darkening. The great Luo Heaven domain had likely been ridiculed for this incident in the past. In the past, our young generation in the great Luo Heaven domain was somewhat behind the other top forces, the Heavenly Vulture Emperor remarked diplomatically. Who has the time to wait for those young ones to grow? Those so-called geniuses, I can crush a whole group with a single strike. What's the point of nurturing them? As long as I'm here, the great Luo Heaven domain will never fall. But if I'm gone, no number of so-called geniuses will help, Mandala snapped, her golden eyes glaring at the Heavenly Vulture Emperor. Chen couldn't help but grin. Although Mandala said this, it was clear she was not entirely sincere. It seemed that over the years, she had attempted to nurture some young talents, but they had never met her standards. Still, she spoke the truth. The reason the great Luo Heaven domain stood strong among the top forces of the northern domain was mainly due to her, a Earth Supreme level powerhouse. As long as she was around, no one dared to challenge the great Luo Heaven domain. But without her, no number of young talents would be able to uphold the domain. This time, I hope Chen can stand out in the Dragon and Phoenix Sky, so the people of the northern domain will know that our great Luo Heaven domain also has exceptional young talents, the Heavenly Vulture Emperor said with a smile. Chen nodded lightly. I will give it my all. Although he knew that the participants in the Dragon and Phoenix Sky were all top-tier geniuses from major forces, that did not make him feel intimidated. Others might be powerful, but Mu Chen did not think he was any less formidable. If he lacked this kind of confidence, he probably wouldn't have made it this far. Achieving good results is naturally the best, but don't let those unknowns take you down, only to boost their own reputation. That would be a disgrace for our great Luo Heaven domain, Mandala added, dousing his excitement. The numerous powerful figures around them were shaken to the core. In the great Luo Heaven domain, Mandala was essentially a tyrant, with no one daring to defy her. Although she now appeared as a cute little girl, no one dared to let their guard down because of her appearance. Thus, when they saw Mu Chen speak to Mandala this way, they were left dumbfounded. However, despite their nervousness, Mandala did not get angry. Instead, she playfully tilted her little mouth, then turned around with her hands behind her back, walking away leisurely. Her childish voice followed. "Come with me. There are still 5 days until the Dragon Phoenix Heaven opens. I'll also give you something, so you can't say that this domain lord doesn't take care of her subordinates." Mu Chen was stunned for a moment upon hearing this. He then waved his hand at the 9 nethers and quickly followed her. When they saw the two leave, the Heavenly Vulture Emperor and the others exchanged glances before chuckling wryly. They couldn't quite understand the relationship between Mu Chen and the domain lord. Their conversation clearly wasn't that of a typical master-servant relationship. Otherwise, with Mandala's sometimes cold and unapproachable personality, if Mu Chen dared to speak like that, he would have turned to ashes with just a snap of her fingers. The 9 nethers also shrugged with a smile. She was delighted that Mandala was so attentive to Mu Chen. After all, she had brought him to the great Luo Heaven domain to provide him with better cultivation conditions. Although she didn't fully understand how Mu Chen and Mandala's relationship had come to this point, it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Mu Chen followed Mandala, soaring through the great Luo Heaven domain. Finally, they landed on a mountaintop in a deep forest, where an ancient scripture pavilion stood. When Mu Chen landed in front of the pavilion, his eyes scanned the surroundings, and his body tensed instinctively. He could sense a subtle but overwhelming danger in the air. "This is the scripture pavilion of my great Luo Heaven domain. The divine arts, spiritual arrays, and legacies plundered from the sects and races we've conquered over the years are stored here. It's considered a crucial place in our domain. Also, this is where Little Dream is in closed-door meditation," Mandala casually said. "Little Dream." Mu Chen was taken aback, then quickly realized that she was referring to the sleeping king. He couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. The head of the 3 sovereigns was being referred to in such a humorous way by Mandala. So this is where the sleeping king guards. Mu Chen relaxed his body. No wonder he felt such an intense danger. With such a strong figure guarding it, ordinary people would never dare to approach. Although you've broken through, you're still only a 3rd grade supreme. There's quite a gap between you and the other heavenly geniuses. I heard that Lu Yin from the Xintian Palace has already reached the 4th grade supreme level. He's many times stronger than Qin Bei, whom you defeated earlier. Mandala's childish voice echoed before the scripture pavilion. And you crippled Lu Ming. Lu Yin has already vowed to deal with you in the Dragon Phoenix Heaven. Mu Chen nodded slightly. Lu Yin was indeed quite powerful and far beyond Qin Bei. Mandala waved her small hand, and the ancient door of the scripture pavilion slowly opened, releasing an astonishing wave of energy. However, the energy was so controlled that even the corner of Mandala's skirt didn't flutter. Mandala walked straight in, and Mu Chen quickly followed. As he stepped inside, his eyes were immediately dazzled by the array of colors. On the stone platforms, circles of light surrounded floating scrolls. These scrolls emitted powerful spiritual energy fluctuations, indicating that they were not ordinary items. The stunning collection left Mu Chen speechless. He couldn't help but click his tongue. This was the foundation of a top-tier power. He could only imagine how many unfortunate sects had been plundered over the years. Mandala didn't allow Mu Chen to pick anything right away. Instead, she clenched her small hand, and a streak of light shot towards her, landing in her palm, which she then tossed to Mu Chen. "Since you're going to participate in the Dragon Phoenix Heaven, it's important to know both yourself and your opponents. This contains information on the top young talents of the Northern Domain. You can take a look and be prepared when you encounter them. Upon hearing Mandala's words, Mu Chen's mind stirred. He quickly caught the streak of light, which dispersed to form a copper scroll. On both sides of the scroll were images of a dragon and a phoenix, and faintly, one could hear the sounds of dragon roars and phoenix cries. He slowly opened it, and golden light flashed. The first thing that caught his eye were 3 dazzling golden characters.